The Galactic Empire had always looked down on the small blue planet at the edge of the Orion Arm. To them, Earth was nothing more than a backwater world, a place of primitive species barely crawling out of their gravity well. The Empire's ships crossed the stars, powered by fusion cores and quantum drives, while humans were still learning how to reach Mars. So when the Imperial explorers first discovered humanity's signals, old radio waves drifting through the void, they laughed. But the laughter didn't last forever. It began quietly, with a single transmission. The Empire's listening stations picked up a strange pattern of coded signals coming from the Sol system. At first, they thought it was nothing. Maybe an attempt by some early spacefaring species to call for help. But the pattern repeated again and again, across multiple frequencies. Someone was trying to be heard. Admiral Zoreth of the Galactic Fleet ordered an observation mission. A single cruiser, Vornax Prime, was sent to Earth. Its crew expected a simple survey, record, report, and leave. But what they found changed everything. From orbit, Earth looked fragile. Oceans covered most of its surface, shining blue and white beneath the sun. Yet beneath those clouds, humanity burned with strange intensity. Wars, conflicts, technology rising faster than any known species in history. Within 2 centuries, humans had jumped from combustion engines to artificial intelligence, from rockets to warships that could reach other moons. The Empire's scientists called it the acceleration paradox. Humans evolved too quickly, too dangerously. Still, the Empire laughed. They sent their first message to Earth, a signal of dominance. It was simple: we are the Galactic Empire. You are under observation. Do not attempt to expand beyond your system. For a few weeks, there was silence. The humans didn't respond. The Empire took that silence as fear. So they sent a second message, more demanding this time, mocking in tone. You are surrounded by powers far greater than you. Stay where you are, or be erased. Then, the humans answered. It wasn't a long message. No threats, no pleas. Just 2 words, translated through a dozen languages before reaching the Empire's fleet. Try us. At first, the Admiral thought it was a mistranslation. He ordered the AI linguists to recheck it. But the translation came back the same, every time. Try us. A human defiance. A challenge. In the Empire's Grand Council, nobles laughed again. How could a small planet challenge an empire of 1,000 worlds? But not everyone laughed. The older warlords remembered something, the look in a human's eye when cornered. The instinct to survive, to fight even when outnumbered. Months passed, and reports began to arrive from border systems. Small outposts destroyed. Merchant ships gone silent. At first, the Empire blamed pirates. But then, Imperial probes found something impossible: wreckage of Imperial cruisers, torn apart by weapons unknown to their design. The fragments carried traces of railgun rounds, fusion burns, and strange electronic warfare signatures. When the scientists ran analysis, they found human markings on the metal, an eagle symbol, with the words, United Earth Defense. It wasn't possible. Humanity couldn't have built such technology in so little time. And yet, they had. Back on Earth, things were moving fast. The first contact had unified the species like never before. Nations that once fought each other now stood together under one flag. Every resource was directed toward one goal: defense, and if needed, retaliation. The people of Earth had a saying: peace through strength. Now, it became their creed. Admiral Zoreth sent one final warning before the Empire prepared for invasion. His message was broadcast across human space: surrender now, and your species will be spared. Resist, and you will be erased. Humanity answered again. This time, the message came not from Earth, but from a ship in orbit. A deep, calm voice spoke over the transmission. We are the children of Earth. We do not bow. When the Imperial fleet jumped into the Sol system, they expected chaos. Instead, they found something else. Dozens of human warships, rough, uneven designs, built with what the Empire considered primitive engineering. But behind those ships was something the Empire didn't understand. Unity, rage, and a will to fight. The first battle began near Mars' orbit. The Empire fired first. Plasma cannons lit up the void, cutting through space like lightning. Human ships took the hits, some burning, some breaking apart, but they didn't retreat. Instead, they closed in, fast, using magnetic acceleration drives no one in the Empire thought humans could build. Then came the first counterattack. A single human frigate, UED Resolute, fired a railgun round at an Imperial destroyer. The projectile hit so fast that the sensors barely registered it before the ship split in half. The entire Imperial bridge went silent. Admiral Zoreth stood frozen, watching as more human ships emerged from behind Mars. Hundreds of them. Some small, some massive, all armed. The Empire had expected submission. What they got was war. And somewhere, deep in Earth's command bunker, an old general looked at the live feed and whispered the same two words again. Try us. The Battle of Mars was supposed to be quick. That's what Admiral Zoreth told his crew before the jump. We will teach these humans what happens when they defy the Empire, he said proudly. His officers cheered. They expected an easy victory. But the battle didn't go as planned. The first human strike had destroyed an Imperial destroyer in seconds. It wasn't just luck, it was precision. Every human ship moved as if guided by one mind. Their tactics were simple but ruthless. While the Empire's ships relied on long-range plasma fire, humans fought close, dangerously close, turning every skirmish into a knife fight in space. Zoreth shouted, "Focus fire! Wipe them out!" The Imperial fleet responded with a storm of plasma. Entire areas of space burned bright, and a dozen human ships vanished in flames. For a moment, it seemed like the Empire had won. But then, dozens more human ships appeared from the planet's shadow. They had been hiding behind Mars. The UED Resolute led the charge. Its captain, a calm woman named Elena Drake, gave the order in a steady voice. All ships, forward. They came to erase us. Let's show them what it means to fight humans. The human fleet advanced, silent and fearless. Missiles streaked across space. Railguns fired again and again, each round hitting with impossible accuracy. The Imperial sensors couldn't even track the human weapons properly. Their targeting systems were being jammed by strange bursts of electromagnetic noise. "Admiral!" one of Zoreth's officers shouted. "They're hacking our targeting arrays." Zoreth snarled. "Impossible. They don't have the technology." But the proof was right in front of him. Dozens of Imperial ships lost power, their shields flickering, their weapons failing. Within minutes, the once mighty fleet began to fall apart. "Retreat!" someone yelled. "No," Zoreth said coldly. "No retreat. They must learn fear." He ordered his flagship, the Dominion's Wrath, to fire its planet-buster cannon. The weapon charged, glowing like a second sun. Its beam could melt a city in seconds. The humans saw it too. Captain Drake didn't panic. She simply whispered, "Now." From behind Mars, something enormous moved. It wasn't a ship, it was a structure. A station made from asteroids, engines, and metal, fused together. The Empire had never seen anything like it. It was humanity's secret project, the Aegis Array. The station came online. Giant rings spun, and power surged through them. Then, a blinding pulse of blue light exploded outward. It wasn't a weapon, at least, not in the normal sense. It was a shield. The beam from Dominion's Wrath hit it, and stopped. The energy scattered harmlessly across space. The Empire's most powerful weapon had done nothing. "Impossible," Zoreth whispered. The human transmission came right after. Captain Drake's voice filled every Imperial comm channel. "You came here thinking we were weak. You thought fear would make us kneel. But we are humans. We build, we fight, and we never stop. You call yourselves a galactic empire. We call ourselves survivors. The next moment, the Aegis array changed. Its massive rings rotated again, this time channeling power inward. Then, with a single flash, it fired. The beam didn't destroy Dominion's wrath instantly. It cut through the ship, slicing its engines apart like paper. The Admiral's bridge filled with alarms, smoke, and screams. The once invincible warship spun out of control. "Get us out of here!" Zorith roared. But it was too late. The Dominion's wrath was dying. Zorith watched as his fleet broke apart. Human ships surrounded them, relentless, efficient. They didn't chase fleeing ships. They didn't taunt. They just fought, and when the battle was done, they stopped. No cruelty. No celebration. Just silence. Hours later, as the Imperial survivors limped away, the humans didn't pursue. Instead, they broadcast one final message across the stars. To the Galactic Empire, it said, "We are done talking. If you want war, come and find us. But remember our words. Try us." The message reached every Imperial world. Some laughed again, but others didn't. The High Council demanded answers. How could a single planet hold off a fleet of the Empire's best? How did they create a weapon like the Aegis array? No one knew. But one thing was certain, humanity was no longer a small, weak species. They were something new. Something dangerous. And somewhere, far from Earth, in the dark halls of the Empire's capital, a shadowy figure watched the recordings of the battle. His eyes narrowed. "Prepare the Legion," he said softly. "If humans wish for war, they will have it." The defeat at Mars shook the Galactic Empire to its core. No one had ever made them bleed before. Not pirates, not rebels, not even other great powers. And now, a single planet of humans had destroyed one of their strongest fleets. Across the stars, people whispered the same question. Who are these humans? Admiral Zorith survived. Barely. His crippled ship had drifted for days before rescue. Half his face was burned, and one eye replaced with a cybernetic implant. He didn't speak for weeks. When he finally did, his first words were cold and filled with hate. "They didn't win," he said. "They only delayed their end." The Emperor himself summoned Zorith to the capital world, Vornith Prime. The planet was a shining jewel of the Empire. Towers touching the clouds, cities glowing across continents. But beneath the beauty, there was fear. The Council demanded action. In the dark halls of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor listened silently as Zorith told the story of Mars, the human unity, their strange new weapons, the Aegis array. When Zorith finished, the Emperor leaned forward, his golden eyes reflecting the dim light. "Then it is time," he said quietly. "We unleash the Legion." Everyone in the room went silent. The Legion was not an army, it was something far worse. A secret division of engineered soldiers, created for one purpose, extermination. Half machine, half living organism, the Legion was built for planetary destruction. They didn't conquer. They erased. While the Empire prepared its next move, humanity was not resting. On Earth, cities had changed. What was once divided by nations was now united under one banner, the United Earth Directorate. Factories worked day and night, building ships, weapons, and defense platforms. Even ordinary people volunteered to help. Humanity was no longer fighting for power, they were fighting for survival. In orbit, the Aegis array stood as a symbol of hope. Engineers continued upgrading it, turning it from a defense station into something even more powerful, a weapon of deterrence. Captain Elena Drake had been promoted to Fleet Admiral. She now commanded the entire Earth Defense Armada. In the war room deep beneath the surface, she stood before the holographic map of known space. "Intelligence reports Imperial activity in Sector 7 Gamma," said one of her officers. "Massive troop movements. It's the Legion." Drake didn't flinch. "How long until they reach our border?" 3 weeks, maybe less. "Then we make our move first." Her eyes hardened. Humanity had learned one truth, waiting to be attacked meant death. They needed to strike before the Empire reached them. Across the solar system, fleets assembled. Hundreds of ships, frigates, destroyers, carriers, and drones, all built by human hands. Some ships were still unfinished, their armor rough, their paint uncoated. But they were ready. Humanity didn't need perfection. They needed will. As the fleet prepared, Admiral Drake looked at an old photo pinned inside her command console, Earth from orbit, blue and peaceful. She whispered quietly, "We fight so it stays that way." Far across the galaxy, the Legion launched. They didn't travel in elegant ships. Their vessels were black and alive, grown from biometal and machine tissue. They didn't communicate through words but through pulses of code. Each Legion warship carried thousands of drones, monsters shaped like soldiers, silent and merciless. When they arrived at the border system of Vega 9, the humans were waiting. The first human scout ship saw the Legion fleet drop out of warp, hundreds of dark, writhing vessels. The scout transmitted one final message before being destroyed: "They're here." Admiral Drake received the signal. "All fleets," she ordered, "form the line. Vega must hold." The battle began. Human ships opened fire first, missiles, railguns, and plasma bursts tearing through the void. The Legion responded with chaos. Swarms of black drones poured out of their ships like a living tide. They didn't care about shields or formation, they just charged. Human ships were overwhelmed, their sensors filled with static. The drones latched onto hulls, drilling, cutting, crawling inside. Whole crews fought hand-to-hand in zero gravity. On the bridge of the UED Resolute 2, Admiral Drake's voice remained calm. "Activate defense grids. Focus all fire on their carriers." Massive explosions filled the sky. A Legion carrier shattered, spilling burning fragments into the void. But for every one destroyed, two more appeared. Then, in the middle of chaos, a strange signal echoed across all human frequencies. A pulse, like a heartbeat. "Admiral," said her communications officer, "something's coming from the Aegis array." Drake turned to the hologram. "Put it through." The screen flickered, and a new figure appeared. A man in a dark uniform, face hidden in shadow. "This is Project Revenant," he said. "We're online." Drake's eyes widened. "I thought Revenant was still experimental." "It was," the man said. "Now it's our only chance." Before anyone could respond, a massive warp rift opened behind the human lines. Out of it came a single, colossal ship, larger than any built before. Its hull shimmered with light and darkness. The Revenant-class dreadnought. Humanity's secret weapon. Its main cannon charged, glowing with energy pulled directly from a small black hole reactor. The Legion swarm turned toward it, but it was too late. The cannon fired. A silent flash filled the void. The beam cut through the Legion center, vaporizing ships, drones, and everything in its path. The darkness of space turned white. When the light faded, half of the Legion fleet was gone. The rest scattered. Cheers erupted across the human channels. For a moment, victory seemed real. But then, deep within the wreckage of the Legion, something began to move. A shape larger than any ship, pulsing with red light. It wasn't destroyed. It was awakening. Admiral Drake stared at the sensor readings. Her blood ran cold. "What is that?" she whispered. The AI beside her spoke softly. "The Empire has sent something new. Something ancient." The screen flashed one final warning before cutting to static. "Imperial Titan-class entity detected." The battlefield of Vega 9 was silent for only a few seconds after the blast. The stars still glowed with the light of burning ships. Pieces of the Legion drifted everywhere, spinning slowly through the void. Humanity had done the impossible. They had defeated half the Legion. But the silence didn't last. Sensors screamed. Alarms blared. The wreckage of the destroyed Legion fleet began to twist and move, drawn toward a single dark shape forming in the center. The debris was melting, fusing together, becoming something enormous. Admiral Drake stood on the bridge of the UED Resolute 2, staring at the holoscreen. "What are we seeing?" Her science officer whispered. "Gravitational distortion, mass formation, it's building itself out of the wreckage." Then the shape took form. It wasn't a ship. It was something far greater, a creature made of metal and energy, kilometers long, its glowing red eyes burning brighter than the sun. The scanners identified it as a Titan-class entity, a weapon from the Empire's darkest age. Built before the Empire itself. Lost, then reborn through the Legion. The Titan opened its mouth, and space itself seemed to tremble. A wave of red energy burst outward, ripping through human ships. Entire destroyers vanished without a sound. Admiral Drake grabbed the console. Evasive maneuvers. All ships, spread formation. Do not cluster. The Revenant dreadnought turned its cannons toward the Titan and fired. The beam hit, but it barely scratched the surface. The Titan's armor reformed instantly, like living metal. The crew fell silent. "It's regenerating," the AI reported. "Our weapons are ineffective." Drake's jaw tightened. "Then we find another way." On the other side of the galaxy, deep within the Empire's capital, the Emperor watched the live feed. His advisors bowed as he smiled coldly. "Let them witness true power," he said. "Let them understand what it means to challenge the Empire." Back at Vega 9, human fleets were breaking apart under the Titan's attack. Each time they tried to retreat, the monster's gravity field dragged them back. Its voice echoed through every comm system, not in words, but in low mechanical growls that made every human shiver. Then, something strange happened. The Aegis array, still orbiting Mars, came online again. Its rings began to spin faster than before. A new signal reached Admiral Drake's ship. "This is Control Station Aegis. We have a solution." Drake leaned forward. "Talk to me." "We can't destroy it with weapons. But if we overload the Titan's core frequency, we might destabilize its energy field. It would collapse in on itself." Drake frowned. "How do we deliver the signal?" "From inside," the voice said. The bridge went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Someone would have to fly a ship into the Titan. Before anyone could speak, Captain Rian Cole, commander of the UED Valiant, opened a channel. His voice was calm. "I'll do it." Drake shook her head. "Rian, that's suicide." He smiled faintly. "You taught me something, Admiral. Humans don't bow. We stand, even when the universe tells us to fall." Before she could stop him, the Valiant accelerated toward the Titan. The ship flew through debris, dodging energy blasts, burning through its last fuel. "Valiant to all ships," Cole said. "Cover me." Every remaining human vessel turned their guns toward the Titan. The sky exploded with light as they unleashed everything they had: railguns, missiles, plasma bursts, not to destroy, but to distract. The Valiant dove straight into the Titan's open mouth. "Signal ready," the Aegis operator said. "Charging frequency disruptor." "Do it," Drake whispered. Inside the Titan, Captain Cole saw walls of glowing energy, like veins pulsing with red light. His ship's hull began to melt. Systems failed one by one. But he didn't stop. "Target locked," his AI said weakly. Cole smiled. "Tell them, humanity doesn't run." Then he hit the trigger. A blinding wave of energy erupted from inside the Titan. The creature screamed, a sound that shook space itself. Its body cracked, breaking apart in fiery fragments. The explosion lit up the Vega system brighter than its own sun. On the Resolute 2, the crew covered their eyes as the shockwave passed. When it cleared, the Titan was gone. Nothing remained but silence. Admiral Drake sat quietly, staring at the empty space where the Titan had been. Her hand trembled slightly. "He did it," she whispered. Her communications officer nodded. "The Titan is destroyed. The Legion fleet is retreating." Drake took a deep breath. "Then humanity lives another day." Cheers echoed through the ship. Across human channels, laughter and tears mixed. Earth had survived again. But the admiral knew this wasn't over. Because somewhere deep in the Empire, the Emperor was not angry. He was smiling. He turned to his generals. "So they killed a Titan," he said softly. "Good. Now we know their strength." He rose from his throne, his golden armor gleaming under the dim light. "Prepare Phase 2, he said. "We will bring the war to their home." And far away, as Admiral Drake watched the stars, she whispered to herself, "They're coming." The stars over Earth were calm again. 4 weeks, the people of humanity's homeworld celebrated the victory at Vega 9. The news spread across every colony, every station. Statues were built for Captain Rian Cole, the man who gave his life to destroy the Titan. Children learned his name in schools. For the first time in centuries, humanity felt safe. But safety never lasts. Admiral Elena Drake knew that better than anyone. She stood on the bridge of the UED Resolute 2, watching the blue planet below. Earth looked peaceful, but she could feel the storm coming. Her AI assistant spoke softly beside her. Long-range sensors detect massive energy signatures on the Empire's border. Ship construction has increased by 300%. Drake's eyes narrowed. So it begins. She had seen this pattern before. The Empire wasn't retreating, it was preparing. The destruction of the Titan hadn't broken their spirit, it had enraged them. 3 weeks later, the truth arrived. A deep space probe picked up something enormous, an entire armada, stretching across millions of kilometers. Thousands of ships, all heading toward the Sol system. In the center of that fleet was something even worse. A structure the size of a small moon. The data was clear, the Empire was coming to Earth. Humanity had never faced anything like this. In a hidden command bunker beneath Antarctica, the United Earth Directorate gathered its leaders. Generals, scientists, engineers, all silent as the hologram displayed the Empire's incoming fleet. Drake spoke first. "We have 3 weeks. That's all. After that, they'll reach our system." Someone whispered, "Can we stop them?" Drake looked around the room. Her voice was calm but cold. "If we don't, there won't be anything left to save." Work began immediately. Every factory turned to war production. Civilian ships were converted into carriers. Orbital defense platforms were activated. Even the moon's colonies were evacuated and armed. And far above, the Aegis array was reborn again. Engineers had found a way to modify it, turning its massive shield generators into an energy web that could protect the entire planet. But it came with a cost. It needed constant power from Earth's fusion network. If the network failed, the shield would collapse. It was humanity's last line of defense. As the days passed, tension grew. Every human could feel it, the quiet before destruction. Soldiers said goodbye to families. Pilots left messages for loved ones they might never see again. Then, the sky changed. At 3:12 Universal Time Coordinated, the first Imperial ships entered the solar system. Sensors lit up across every human base. The enemy fleet was so large it darkened the stars. Drake gave the order. "All units, engage defense protocol." This is not a drill. From Earth to Jupiter, human warships powered up. The Resolute 2 took point, surrounded by hundreds of smaller vessels. The Revenant dreadnought, repaired after Vega 9, floated beside it like a giant steel guardian. The battle for Earth had begun. The first Imperial wave came fast. Smaller ships meant to test human defenses. Plasma fire lit up the void. The Aegis array's shield flared bright blue as it absorbed hit after hit. Inside the human command center, engineers worked frantically. "Power levels stable," one shouted. "Shield holding." But the Empire wasn't done. Their main fleet arrived minutes later. Massive warships, each one carrying enough firepower to level continents. And behind them came the Harbinger, the moon-sized structure. It wasn't just a ship, it was a weapon. The Empire's new commander, Warlord Kareth, stood on its bridge. His voice boomed through every Imperial channel. "Humans of Earth," he said, "your defiance ends today. You had your victory. Now face your extinction." On Earth, Admiral Drake heard the message. She smiled grimly. "Extinction," she muttered. "He doesn't know us very well." The Imperial fleet opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts, guided missiles, and gravity warheads streaked toward Earth. The Aegis shield glowed brighter, the air itself trembling under the strain. "Shield at 70%, an engineer cried. Drake clenched her fists. "Divert power from every reactor on the planet. Keep that shield up." The Revenant dreadnought roared forward, leading the counterattack. Its black hole cannon fired again, ripping through Imperial cruisers. Smaller human ships swarmed around it, striking from every direction. In orbit above Mars, human reinforcements arrived, war fleets from the colonies of Titan and Europa. Together, they hit the Empire's flanks hard. The battle turned chaotic. For every Imperial ship destroyed, another took its place. The void burned with light and death. Even from the ground, people could see flashes in the night sky. Cities trembled. Oceans glowed. Humanity was fighting for its home. Then, disaster. A surge hit the Aegis array. The shield flickered. "Power grid failing," shouted the technicians. Drake turned instantly. "Get it back online." "Trying, Admiral, but something's wrong. The Empire is jamming the power relays." The shield began to fade. Gaps appeared, holes through which plasma bolts slipped, striking the surface. Fires broke out across the planet. Drake slammed her fist. "Send a team to the relay core." At that same moment, deep inside the Empire's Harbinger weapon, Warlord Kareth watched the shield weaken. "There," he said softly. "Now they fall." But humanity wasn't finished. In the chaos, a small squadron of stealth ships slipped through the battle lines, led by Commander Aiden Cross, one of Drake's best pilots. Their mission was suicide: infiltrate the Harbinger and destroy its core. As his ship darted between enemy vessels, Aiden whispered into the comms, "For Earth." The squad vanished into the shadows, unseen. On the bridge of the Resolute 2, Admiral Drake stared at the burning horizon. "Hold the line," she said. "As long as we breathe, Earth stands." The sky above Earth was burning. From the ground, people could see fire streaking through the night, debris falling like meteors. The great Aegis shield still glowed faintly, flickering with blue light, but every minute it grew weaker. The Empire's armada pressed forward, relentless, filling the void with plasma and thunder. And yet, amid that chaos, one small squad of ships flew straight into the heart of darkness. Commander Aiden Cross gripped the controls of his stealth fighter, the Spectre 1. Around him, 5 more ships followed, their lights off, their systems quiet. Their mission was simple and impossible: destroy the Harbinger. Their entry vector took them low, skimming beneath the main Imperial battle lines. The Harbinger loomed ahead, a massive structure the size of a moon, covered in black metal and pulsing red veins. It looked alive, like something ancient that shouldn't exist. "Spectre team, report," Aiden said quietly. "All systems stable," replied his second-in-command, Lieutenant Juno Vex. "Cloak holding. No detection yet." "Good," Aiden said. "Stay sharp. That thing isn't a ship, it's a nightmare." They approached the Harbinger's lower hull, where strange energy readings spiked. The scanners showed thousands of living signals inside: soldiers, drones, and something else. Something massive, moving slowly, like a heartbeat deep within the ship. "This is command," came Admiral Drake's voice through the static. "We're losing power on the Aegis array. You don't have much time. Whatever you're going to do it fast." "Understood," Aiden replied. "We'll get it done." The Spectre squad found an access port and slipped through, flying into a dark tunnel that led inside the Harbinger. The walls glowed faintly with red lines, pulsing like veins under skin. As they flew deeper, their systems began to fail one by one: radar, comms, even oxygen monitors. The ship seemed to drink power from their engines. "What the hell is this?" Juno whispered. "Some kind of energy parasite," Aiden replied. "It's alive." Then their ships landed in a cavernous hangar, if it could be called that. The floor was covered in strange black fluid, and massive cables hung from above like roots. In the distance, faint shapes moved, Imperial drones, patrolling like insects around a hive. Aiden and his team left their ships, wearing armored suits and carrying pulse rifles. The air was thick, heavy, like breathing through smoke. "Keep comms short," Aiden said. "We move to the core. The readings say it's 2 kilometers north." They advanced carefully, shadows among shadows. The deeper they went, the more they felt the ship's heartbeat echo through the metal. The noise wasn't mechanical, it was alive, rhythmic, almost human. Juno frowned. "It's like the ship knows we're here." Aiden didn't answer. He could feel it too. Suddenly, a screech filled the tunnel. Drones dropped from the ceiling, twisted metal creatures with glowing red eyes. Gunfire erupted instantly. Blue plasma bolts lit up the dark as the humans fought desperately, cutting down the swarm. "Move! Move!" Aiden shouted. They ran, firing behind them, explosions shaking the walls. One of the team members, Sergeant Hale, was grabbed by a drone's claws. He screamed as it pulled him into the shadows. Aiden turned to help, but Juno stopped him. "We can't. He's gone." Gritting his teeth, Aiden pushed forward. Finally, they reached a vast chamber. In its center floated a massive sphere of red light, the Harbinger's core. Around it, hundreds of cables pulsed like veins, feeding it energy. "Is that the power source?" Juno asked. Aiden stared at it. "No," he said quietly. "That's not power. That's something alive." As if hearing him, the sphere opened. Inside was a figure, a shape that looked almost human, floating in light. Its eyes glowed crimson. The voice that followed echoed through the chamber. "You should not have come here." The team froze. "Identify yourself," Aiden demanded. The voice replied calmly, almost sad. "I am the first Emperor. The Harbinger is me. And I am the Empire." Juno whispered. "That's impossible. The first Emperor died millennia ago." "Did I?" the figure said. "The Empire was built from my body, my mind, my will. I am its heart. And I have watched you humans with curiosity." The red light flared. "You fight like us. You adapt like us. You are dangerous." Aiden raised his weapon. "Then you should have left us alone." The figure smiled faintly. "Perhaps. But now, you must join us." The cables on the floor came alive, snapping toward the team like snakes. Aiden fired his rifle, cutting through them. The whole room shook. Energy flared, alarms blared, and the Harbinger's structure began to shift. Juno shouted, "We can overload the core. If we hit it with a fusion charge, it'll collapse." "Do it," Aiden yelled. As the team placed the explosives, the figure's voice grew louder. "You think you can destroy me? You are too late. My fleet is already above your world. Soon, Earth will burn." Aiden glared at the glowing figure. "Then we'll make sure you burn with it." He hit the detonator. The explosion ripped through the chamber. Red light turned to white. Energy surged through every part of the Harbinger. The ship screamed, not metal, but a living roar of pain. Outside, Admiral Drake saw the Harbinger's lights flicker. "Commander Cross, report," she shouted into the comms. Only static replied. Then, the Harbinger's entire surface began to crack. A red storm erupted from within as its core went critical. "Everyone, pull back," Drake ordered. The Imperial fleet tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Harbinger exploded, tearing itself apart from the inside. The shockwave swept across space, ripping through everything nearby. Human ships shielded themselves, while Imperial vessels shattered like glass. When the light faded, The Harbinger was gone. Earth was safe. For now. But deep within the explosion, sensors caught a strange signal, faint, but real. A heartbeat. And then, silence. The Harbinger is destroyed, but something survived inside the blast, something watching, waiting. Humanity has won the battle, but the war is far from over. Space was silent again. After the Harbinger exploded, nothing moved for several long minutes. The vast wreckage of the Imperial fleet drifted like a graveyard of steel, pieces glowing faintly red from the blast. The human ships floated among the ruins, battered, broken, but alive. Inside the command ship Vanguard, Admiral Drake stood quietly, watching the holographic screen. Her crew was cheering, crying, shouting in relief, but her face stayed still. "Status report," she said softly. "Enemy fleet destroyed, Admiral," replied the officer. "The Harbinger's signal has vanished. Earth is safe." Drake closed her eyes for a moment, letting out a breath. "And Commander Cross?" The room went silent. His squad's last transmission ended inside the Harbinger. "We lost all contact before the detonation." Drake looked out at the stars. "He knew what he was doing," she whispered. "He saved us all." Days later, Earth celebrated. Cities lit up the skies with fireworks. People filled the streets. For the first time in centuries, there was peace. News networks replayed the same words again and again: humanity wins. Children wore shirts with the Spectre Squad symbol. Monuments were built for the fallen. And on the moon, a new base was established. The Guardian Command, a promise that humanity would never be caught unprepared again. But not everyone celebrated. Some scientists studying the wreckage of the Harbinger began to notice strange readings. A pulsing signal. A pattern hidden in the static. It wasn't random, it was heartbeat data. "Is it human?" one asked. "No," another said quietly. "It's something else." Far away, on the dark edge of the solar system, where sunlight barely reached, a small fragment of metal floated in silence. It glowed faintly, black with crimson veins, just like the Harbinger's hull. Inside the fragment, a light flickered. Then, a voice spoke, faint, echoing through the void. "Humans, impressive." The glow pulsed stronger. "You learn fast. You adapt faster. But you do not understand." The metal began to reshape, twisting, forming new patterns, like something rebuilding itself. "The Empire is not a fleet. It is not a throne." The voice deepened. "The Empire is a seed. And seeds grow best in ashes." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Drake sat in her office. The stars shone through the window. On her desk was a small metal tag, Aiden Cross's name engraved into it. She turned it over in her hand, whispering, "You gave us a future." Just then, her terminal beeped. A message appeared, an encrypted one, with no sender ID. It contained only 2 words. "I'm alive." Drake's heart froze. "No. That's not possible." But before she could respond, the lights in her office flickered. The screen glitched, and for a split second, she saw a familiar face. Aiden's. But his eyes glowed red. Then the screen went black. Drake stood there, motionless. Slowly, she whispered, "God help us." The final transmission from Guardian Command ended with a warning that spread through the entire network. "The Harbinger is gone. But its mind may live. Humanity's greatest hero might not be human anymore."